Hello, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. Uh, Let me know where you're tuning in from, first of all. Let's see if everything is working here. Alright. Hey guys, good morning, afternoon, evening. Again, so happy to be back here. Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I see Dad here. Let me know your city, your country, if you know XD, if you've seen XD before, if you have questions on XD. Alright, we have some people joining now. Cool. And I'll be watching the chat here if you have any questions. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Demian Borba. I work on the strategic development team at Adobe, and I go live every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific time to answer your questions, collect feedback, show some of the new stuff we're doing, some of the features we're releasing in XD, and bring it all back to the product team, to the engineering team, to the design team, and have this conversation, this open conversation with you guys. So if you have any questions, any feedback, any suggestions, anything, please feel free to reach out to me here. I see people from Cameroon, very cool. From Syria, oh, ACE, very cool. So nice to see you guys here. And it looks like we're live. Everything is fine. No problems at all. All right, and we're live on Facebook and YouTube. Feel free to send questions here in the chat as you join. Awesome. How are you guys doing today? How's life? Beginning of the week. Lots of work to do, I assume. But it's good, right? Happy Monday for everyone here. All right, I'll be watching the chat here, and let's get started. All right, cool. As we make progress here in the live stream, feel free to ask anything, any constructive feedback, any bug that you found, anything. This is really for you guys. This is an opportunity for you guys to share feedback, connect with the XD team, and have this open conversation. We have so many activities taking place. We have live streams pretty much every day focused on UX. We have people on Monday. There's a very good live stream on Friday with the design team there where they share their process. It's pretty exciting. There's a lot of great stuff there. All right, I see people from Israel. Mosmo is here on YouTube. Cool. Have you guys seen the latest update of XD that was released last Tuesday? That was pretty cool. There was a lot of very powerful features landing, and I will show you them here. Again, for the ones tuning in now, let me know where tuning in from, your country, your city. I'd love to learn more about that, and questions, feel free to ask. All right, cool. So the first thing that I'd like to mention here is that if you are in the US, or if you have an opportunity to come to the US, we have our big conference, Adobe MAX, taking place in October. So if you go to max.adobe.com, you can see all the announcements and the good information. It's an amazing conference. It's going to be in Los Angeles this year from October 15th to the 17th. I'll be there. The XD team will be there. We're going to have not only announcements on XD, but a lot of other announcements taking place at Max. And we're going to live stream the keynotes as well. So if you're there, if you can't be there, you can watch the main keynote and the big announcement when we start the conference. Very cool. Marcin is asking, I already got a question here. Marcin, When you add, is it possible to publish all screen even without prototyping? All screens. Do you mean select all the artboards and export? You can do that in XD. So let me, as we warm up for the stream here, let me go to XD here and I'll share my screen first of all. So let's go here and let's show XD. So create, let's say I have 3 artboards, and let me do that. I will create something inside here, A, and this is my artboard A. This is my artboard. I'm just duplicating. I'm hitting Command D to duplicate. This is B and this is C. So I have 3 artboards, no prototyping. Let's say I want to export them in one single PDF, for example. I can select all the artboards by, I can hold Shift to select them by clicking on it on their titles, or I can marquee select everyone here. Then I can go to File, Export, and here I can export my selection or all the artboards that I have here. And then in this case, this is a perfect case for PDF. I can go to PDF. I will share this to my desktop, and now I have that PDF right there, and each screen goes to a separate page on their PDF. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, let me see if we have more questions here as we start this. When will we see right to left full text support? Can you elaborate on that? Can you send an example of that? I would love to learn more about what you're trying to do there. Alice is saying that he's having some problems with XD. It's not running smoothly. I had to go back to the previous version. Can you explain why, like what's happening? We're so concerned with performance and quality. There's a lot of people involved on that and tests to guarantee performance. So if you can elaborate a little bit on that, and more importantly, if you can go to adobexd.uservoice.com and file that as a bug and provide all the information you can do that here. So if you go to adobexd.uservoice.com, here you can go to the bugs area, and you can file a bug, and you can share the version that you saw the problem, the steps. In this case, it's more like it's just, as I see here, it's just slower. What's happening, and then if you can share more information like screen shots or videos or GIFs of that, that would be awesome. And if more people see that, I'm pretty sure they're gonna have that here as well. And in terms of updates, we have updates every month, so you can expect a very good update next month. Mainly, remember I talked about Adobe MAX, our big conference. So every year we have this amazing conference called Adobe MAX, and that's when we're gonna announce a lot of new features. So you can expect, I would say, a big XD update there. Cool. Victor is asking, are you guys aware of the responsive resize tip bug? Sometimes we click on the close and it doesn't close, forcing us to close and reopen XD. Responsive resize tip bug. Click to close. Oh, you're talking about the little guidance, the little window that shows up as you play with the feature for the first time. That's also important. If you can go to user voice as well and file that, it's gonna help us a lot. Gary, if creating a top navigation, want to show the animation, how to do that? Do they all need to be separated icons to get started? Create top navigation and want to show the animation, how do you do that? Oh, that's a question. I see a period here. Do they all need to be separate icons to get started? If you're talking about animations within the same artboard, we don't have that yet. You would have to fake that with separate artboards. Let's say going from one tab on your header there to another one. but very soon we're gonna have some updates on micro interactions. I will not say too much about that, but that's gonna be possible very, very soon. Hey everyone, questions here, cool. Let's see. Armando is asking, when will be able to add gradients to swatches or assets panel while maintaining angle? Good question. You can add gradients to the assets panel today, but to preserve the angle, that's another story. That's a great feature request. If you can file that in user voice again, add to the assets panel and then preserve the angle, that's going to be, I think this is going to be very useful for a lot of people. I totally see your pain point there. If you have a lot of angles for your gradients, maybe one solution or a workaround could be having a radio gradient, and then you could have almost like that same angle. If it's very big, that circle would not be that impactful. Just an idea there. Okay, for future requests, yeah, thank you Gabriel for adding that there. All right, I think we're good with questions for now. And this is being recorded, so you can watch this later. Let's now dive into two things before we talk about the features that we're gonna announce, that we announced actually last week. Let me go back to my screen here. Before we talk about the features here that we announced last week as part of our September update, I'd like to invite you all, like if you have a couple minutes, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, to try our daily creative challenge. So this is happening from September 18th to the 28th. Every day we announce a new challenge, and it's pretty fun. You just open XD. There's even a file that helps you get started here with some templates, some colors, and description on what to do and where you can get information, where you can get feedback. One of the things that you can get feedback from is, as you make progress and as you play with this, you can join the Slack channel for XD, and then you can share your design or prototype there. People can give you feedback. Adobe people and people from the community can help you, and in the end it's going to give you a lot of, not only a great learning experience, but you're going to have good assets for your portfolio, right? So this can be very, very useful. So I highly encourage you to go there. The website is behance.net/daily creative challenge. The challenge for today is an appointment booking app. And again, you can watch the video with instructions and inspiration, and then you can also get that template that I just showed you. And then you can start designing. You can use this artboard, create more artboards, and then use the repeat grid tool to have a lot of fun here. Have fixed elements, overlays, and literally play with this to, let's say, build your portfolio. Cool, so that's the creative challenge. Please do that, and if you have questions or problems with that, let me know. Now let's talk about the features. So as you know, this is our blog post with all the announcements there, and there's a lot of amazing features. Probably my favorite here is responsive resize. And this is such a big one because it really gives designers, gives you guys a lot of power to resize elements like so fast. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of overview. So we were talking about user voice in the beginning. This is responsive artboards, responsive resize, and the feature was marked completed. And we had over 2,000 people voting for this in user voice. And now that Hoyle, the product manager responsible for that, marked this feature as feature completed, because everyone who voted here subscribed to it. Now they all got an email saying, hey, this is the feature is completed. Thanks for all your feedback. Now you can watch this video, and they are now informed about everything related to responsive resize, and they can play with that. And if you have other features that you are interested in, make sure you upvote, not only to support the feature like micro interactions. We saw a question in the beginning here that might be related to micro interactions. This is almost 5,000 votes, and we're gonna have a big update on that very soon. And you see a lot more features here, features that we started moving forward. All right, so we talked about the daily creative challenge, we talked about user voice. Now let's talk about the features here. So the first one, responsive resize. I just want to give you a little bit of context on that feature. Today you guys need to design your mobile design, and then, oh my god, I have to do my tablet one, so I have to pretty much copy the entire set of elements, move to my tablet or desktop version, and then one by one you have to move, and you have to, like, if it's Photoshop, for example, you have to worry about pixels and duplicate areas. It's a mess. It takes a lot of time. And other tools try to help with that, but it's almost like you have to have a developer mindset by using these tools, because let's say you have an element that I want to resize and it has a lot of other elements inside. Here I would have to go inside and add constraints to every single element here. So if I have, for example, lots and lots of buttons in a calculator, I would have to add constraints to every single one, and this is painful. So it helps, but it's very hard. So what we try to do almost like a year ago was, let's look at this problem and let's apply the Adobe magic to it, and let's try to maybe do 80% of the job automatically. And to do that, we created an algorithm, and we trained the algorithm with hundreds if not thousands of real files. So we worked with real customers to fine-tune and polish and train the algorithm to get to a scenario where it could do, let's say, 80% of the job. And then as a designer, you can always go in your selections, your elements, to fine-tune it. And the way it works is you select a group or one element or a group of elements or groups of elements, and then as you can see, as I select this guy, responsive resize is active, is enabled, and I just resize it. So now this will look for groups inside, for positions based on the heuristics that we mentioned, all the lessons learned from real files, and it just resize. So it's very easy to go from one size to another with no problem. So here's another example where I have more elements that need to resize, and it goes there. Here's another one that it's going from, let's say, a mobile design to a tablet, and look how many elements I have inside here. This is really powerful. It's really helping me go as fast as I can. And if I don't want that behavior, I can disable that, or I can hold the modifying key here, which is shift, and then you get the old resizing behaviors for scaling. Remember I was telling that it does 80% of the job. So here, for example, let's see, when I grow this vertically, but I don't want this enable smart filters to move down as I make this higher. What I want is I want to fix that to the top. So again, XD and the algorithm will do 80% of the job, but I can go inside, double click, select the group here that I want to stay fixed, go to manual mode here in responsive resize, and tell it to stay fixed to the top. So now if I resize that, you can see it's fixed to the top. So again, it does a lot of the hard work for you there, and then you can, for example, if I want this 1600 to stay there on the left, I can go to manual mode, tell it to stay fixed to the left, and just resize. Pretty powerful. And this is another example where I have more elements. Even the mask there, you see the fill of that image, of that shape is changing. This is one that I really like. Let's say I want to go from this tablet version to a phone version, and look how many elements I have here. I have text and icons and gradients. With responsive resize active there, I just resize this, and then I can resize also this, and I have this little line here that I also want to resize. So with less than 5 clicks, I was able to go from that full tablet desktop version to this mobile version, thanks to the power of responsive resize. This is the calculator example that I mentioned, right? You can just resize. You don't have to spend a lot of time defining constraints for every single element here. Imagine how time consuming that would be. And again, it would be almost having that developer mindset, and we want designers to have this free form capability to just design at the speed of thought. This is another example. If you want a mobile form to go to a desktop form, you just increase here, and then I can go inside and I can adjust this and this rectangle and the text, thanks to the power of responsive resize. Another things, more examples here that I really like. This is XD inside XD. We use XD to design XD, and now I'm selecting the artboard. So I'm not selecting something inside the artboard, I'm selecting the artboard as a whole, and by default responsive resize is disabled. So if I click there to enable, now I can have not only the artboard but everything that's inside also moving. Imagine if you had banners, for example, 200 banners. You can very easily resize and have different variations with responsive resize. This is the last one I want to show. Let's say I have this top bar here that I want to add to this artboard. I can adjust there, and I have lots of elements here, but with responsive resize I just resize this and it does that magic for me. Or even if I have this big set of vectors here that it's a table and it has like charts and it's a lot of elements, I just resize them with responsive resize. And talking about tables, this is a table. Let's say I want to add a table to this, and I want to maybe increase or have half of the size here. And look how powerful this is. It's moving all the elements within that table, so saving a lot of time to resize. So powerful feature, responsive resize. Let me see if I have questions on that. Let me see. I'll check here if I have any questions there. No questions. Yes, we answered all of that before. Cool, we're good with questions. Do you guys like that? Please share your feedback, your constructive feedback, maybe suggestions to make it even better. That would be wonderful. Awesome. All right, so let's keep going here. So that's responsive resize. Make sure you play with that, and if you have feedback or if you find bugs, as we saw some people saying there's a bug on tip, like tell us your operating system and give us more information about the bug, and that will help us a lot. All right, the next feature is spell check. So XD is one of the only design tools out there that gives you this ability. So if I have error tags here and I start typing something, I do something that's not correct, like this, I get that hint saying this is wrong, and then I can fix that with the OS behavior. So make sure to activate that, you hit space after it. So if I have something wrong, until I hit space, that will not be visible. And that's also true on Windows. So make sure you type something and you're editing, right? Like make sure you double click on a text area to make sure your spell check can kick in. All right, time transitions, another very good update. Let's say I want to create this scenario where I start with this artboard, then in 2 seconds it goes to this one, 2 seconds it goes to this one, and then it goes back to the first one. With this new update of XD, I can do that. All I gotta do is go to prototype mode, and then I can say, selecting the artboard. This is very important. Time transitions are only working on artboards because it goes from this entire scenario to another artboard. So I just go from this artboard to this other one, and this is gonna be time, and let's stay there for 2 seconds, and then I will slide left. That's it, and the duration can be 0.4. And then from this one, again, I'll do the artboard level. Here, time, it remembers my last selection. And then from here, I'll go back to the beginning. So if I play this now with the preview window here, it's gonna stay there for 2 seconds. It goes to the second one, to the third one, and then you'll go back to the beginning. So this is a very easy way for you to, for example, create a carousel, maybe some onboarding instructions. Here I have another scenario. Let's say I want to create this scenario with just 3 artboards that I want to simulate it's loading or it's doing something, then I click something to stop or go somewhere else. I can do that here with time transitions again. So time, I don't want to stay here, so the delay will be 0, and duration, yeah, it could be maybe 0.6 to give a little bit more time. So that circle will fade out a little bit, and then from here you go back to that. So if I test this now, you see that the circle, oops, the type of transition in this case will be dissolve because I want it to fade in and fade out. So let's fix that. So look here, it's fading in and fading out, almost like a loading scenario. And then if I wanted to stop, I can add an interaction here that will take me to this end scenario. This could be a dissolve, it could be a tap. Let's do 0.4. I also add to this one because if I let's say it's faded out, it's on this artboard, and then I click, it's not gonna work. It's make sure you're there in both. And so now if I test, it takes me there, and then I can add another one to reset the interaction, just taking me to the very beginning. So it's pulsing. If I click here and stop, it takes me to that 3rd artboard. If I click reset, it gives me back to it takes me back to the 1st artboard, and because I have a time interaction there, time transition, you go from that artboard as soon as it lands there to the 2nd one. So this is very, very powerful, and with more features coming soon, like the work that we're doing on micro interactions, this will be even better. All right. Hey Rahul, India. Let's see here if I can see more questions. Hey Pinsky, thanks for joining. All right, no major questions here. You can see the information there. Creative challenge. Oh, and the last update is we talked about time transitions, we talked about spell check, and the last one is web prototype full screen viewing. In the past, every time I was seeing my web prototype, as you know, you can do your prototypes here, then you can click on share on top right, and then you can publish a link, a prototype link with your design, with your prototypes, and then your stakeholders can get that link. It can be a private link, it can be a password protected link, and they can share feedback with you, and they can collect all that, go back to your designs, go back to your prototypes, make all the necessary changes, and go from there. And up until a couple of versions ago, I think 1 or 2, when I was going full screen, this was black, and it's fine on a mobile scenario like this where your prototype is always centered full screen. But if you're doing a web project, let's say you're doing a web design and you go full screen, having black around, it's not really as common as the white background. So we changed that. So if you go to full screen mode here and it's a web scenario, it will not only show you white areas in full screen mode, but it will snap to the top, trying to really look like a real website. And you can see that scenario is now there. So that was the last update for our September update that was released last week. So if you can, please go to your Creative Cloud app, make sure you update XD. If you're not finding the update, you can click on the 3 dots there and check for updates. It will force it to find the update, and as you find bugs or if you have feature requests or feedback, please go to uservoice.com and share your comments there. Alright guys, so that's all I had today. We talked about the features that we released in September. We talked about our daily creative challenge, and we talked about Max. So that's it. Thanks a lot for your questions. I don't see any other updates here or questions for now. And this is being recorded again. Feel free to stay in touch. Thank you very, very much. Happy Monday, and I see you next Monday to talk more about XD. Thanks, guys.